Hello, good morning, and welcome. The search investigates training and finance issues for those world big enterprises nowadays. It's present a lack of financial literacy and pragmatic business skills in new business entrepreneurship. The case has a stakeholder approach which targets governmental and non-profit organizations. The integration of data analysis and theory will be make a sustainable, inclusive, and evidence-based proposal for long-term supporting growth. Thank you. Now, I will start introduction. Failure as an entrepreneur is often based on financial literacy and adequate access to startup capital. In this presentation, the research question seeks to explore the issues that potential entrepreneurs encounter when trying to obtain funding. Most people do not have basic business knowledge or access to credit, as well as advice on how to make effective investment. As a research said, loopholes leads to the segmentation and venture among the youth and other underestimated groups around the world. Christine and Benthina 2018. The study will determine the existence of training-based and funding-based obstacles with the help of a stakeholder-oriented approaches. It is designed to use by policymakers, non-governmental institutional rules are explained by the stakeholder theory. Whereas intervention design is shaped through the financial literacy framework, facts are obtained based on scholarly research and inter-sector case studies. Dundren and Dixit 2024. The aim is to introduce reasonable, diversified solutions that can scale and manage the failure of startups and inspire new entrepreneurs. Now I will start slide 3 background of the problem. PISA assessment conducted by the OECD has also emphasized the issue of financial literacy in the world. According to its report of 2021, entrepreneurial procedures and system to support startups inclusively and still inadequate. Even after the implementation of education reforms in class teaching can at time at the basis of practical ability for smart financial management OECD, European Commission 2021. The structural voices has would be entrepreneurs with a limited set of presentation for the contemporary economic condition. PISA 2022 assessed 15-year-old skill in 81 countries. Over 3,700,000 students have participated since 2000. Key 2024 report examined financial literacy, creative thinking, and lifelong learning readiness OECD 2023. In addition, in 2022, the OECD discussed further how traditional training is not exclusive in the various underrepresented groups. It was discovered that monitoring access to capital and learning by doing and underrepresented in crucial. The rise of entrepreneurs goes on globally, but the development of the practical sports infrastructure fails to keep up with the emerging demanding OECD 2022. This fact supports the necessity of collaborative, dynamic, stakeholder oriented portfolio of capacity building. Now I will go to slide 4, aims and objective. First I will explain aim. To critically examine the limitation of traditional financial literacy training and finding access of aspiring entrepreneurs, and to purpose practical, scalable, and cost-effective solution that improve entrepreneurial success in the current global economic context. Now, I will explain objective to evaluate the effectiveness of existing OECD based financial literacy frameworks and identify gaps relevant to small business success. Now, a second point to investigate innovative practice based training models to enhance financial decision making among entrepreneurs. And now, third is to explore barriers to SME funding access to identify alternative inclusive financing mechanism. And fourth one is to provide costed actionable policy recommendation for governments, banks, and educational institutions to improve entrepreneurial training and support infrastructure. Now I will start slide 5, impact of low financial literacy. Low financial literacy results in the failure of startups in pricing, planning, and budgeting. Entrepreneurs with poor knowledge of finance cannot easily access formal ways of credit. The stifles business in the way that leads of a long-term stagnation of the economy is underserved population. Poor capacity also does not allow for managing a crisis during inflation or demand shock properly. Young ETAL 2021-9. The broader effects are increased job loss, loss of tax revenues, networks as well as in effective entrepreneurship ecosystem internationally. Now I will call my next colleague, Mr. Akash Yasin, to more further present our and continue our presentation.
Hi, my name is Akash Yasin, and my student ID is 230-95076. So I'm gonna speak about my slides, and first of all, I have got stakeholder analysis. So, in this slide, businessmen with title and no financial knowledge always make wrong decision in budgeting, pricing, and frustrating, therefore increasing the chance of failure. Status in the finance incomplete in the one of major cause of start failure. This type of collapse has a narrow of job creation and suffering from the project and the innovations, which is growth from the economic growth. Government lost their investment in the entrepreneurial program that have not delivered with on time in developing things. The general training plans do not always involve constant design with their makes then less relevant and less affections in the long-term preservations. Um, Financial situation feel that the financial literacy entrepreneur are risk ends. So the reason, therefore, the loan investment are accepted, particularly the movement of the capital towards the startup, particular those located in the improvement area or from formal markets. Another loss in government association, and I got the second slide is revenue literature and data. So City Habacks major defaults in entrepreneurial presidents G20 economic, especially among startup-led and youth. According to the report, the digital method of delivering training program increased level of knowledge, level and skill application. The role of attachment in turn in increasing the accessibility and stability of enterprises education is backed up by such funding as the same time mix learning system to involve the to the expectations approach have been shown in the result and financial literature help to growth and other public fund scheme in the UK have demonstrated and take more up to narrowly scaled. The mostly the important and tailor-made tools has in economic policy making decision and budgeting powers is verified by digital case study. In both terms, the evidence present in increased number of building consensus of the policy regarding inactive digital first training model. All the insights prove that scalable and technology enable modes are crucially to entrepreneurial success and includes. I got a second. So the current training landscape lacks flexibility and relevance for deserve entrepreneurs need a standard program often ignore the reality of rural area leaving any inspiration business owner includes business financial training is largely theoretical offering a little to title to no exposed to the real world decision making predator Golenza etc like one of the biggest gap in the lack of personal mentorship which limits growth confidence and stability planning without with one guidance entrepreneur first time struggle to negative to the challenge of launching a sustainable of business address the training and funding gaps required particularly accessibility and solution. The financial literature framework is also utilized in the project of um, to um, to develop about insights that were after knowledge, entrepreneurship, and their making decision skills. The stakeholder theory in has the importance of group assistance of investors and institutes and the communities in 2023. Also, the capability approach of experimental theory fix the content specificity of slides angle affecting necessary learning against unconstructed model to primate constant learning system. I got the fifth of my slides is training model. Normally it lacks practical input among the training, particularly in low income economy. The model ignore the issue of flexibility, online access, and the flexibility. Digital and mobile learning tool are flexible, less expensive, and reach a greater number of rural entrepreneurship. The other form is simulation based monitoring and that can be scaled in AI as it offer to simulate real life decision through a combination of monitoring and learning. The mathematically generate a feeling of confidence and capital in the and then effective in teaching. Comparing the UK, comparing the model in the UK and global South, the contact between them is very sharp. Because the system in the UK frankly embraced and monitoring, whereas the training in the global south is underfunded, and the high level of focus cities is it is very important.
Hi, my name is Owais Yunus. My student ID is 230988803. In this slide, I discuss the funding model evolution. The conventional source of the finance, such as the bank loans, would necessitate some form of the security that can be offered by the vast number of the young entrepreneurs. Microfinance can be provided on a small scale, lending with variable interest rate and availability. There is an emerging blended model, government and venture funding vehicles, where the state de-risks part of the investment to attract. Additional private finance investment have the potential to increase access. Most early stage venture owners and to get involved with format finance because it is complex and risky in a simplified, transparent, and inexclusive system of the funding. In this slide, I discuss the SWOT and PESTEL analysis. The SWOT analysis shows that although there are some funding and training opportunities in the current system, they are neither adoptable at a local level nor provide mentorship or in exclusive design. They have strengths such as organized information and increasing state attention. These weaknesses include digital illiteracy, high dropout rates, and fragmented policies. Political support is growing on the pastel front. Although little has been done regarding implementation, access barriers, especially in terms of technology, remain high, particularly in rural areas. Socially, gender and income inequalities still affect training access. In this slide, I discuss the external influencing factor. Several external forces continue to shape entrepreneurial training and funding ecosystems. The digital divide, especially in rural and low income areas, limit access to e-learning and online funding platforms. Political instability in some regions hinders long-term policy implementation. Additionally, rising inflation and fluctuation teach costs make training materials and internet services unaffordable for many. On the other hand, the post-COVID landscape has increased the demand for remote learning and entrepreneurship, revealing both opportunities and access issues. Any effective solution must factor in these realities, ensuring infrastructure and political stability are built into long-term strategies for entrepreneurship's sport. In this slide, I discuss the risk and uncertainty. Despite promising initiatives, several risks threaten the success of entrepreneurship programs. Change in government priorities can disrupt ongoing training or funding schemes. The shift in government priorities may shatter any training or funding plan currently in progress. The intermediated stream of funding, particularly to non-governmental organizations, put program at risk. The danger is that the internet penetration is low, particularly in rural areas where the mobile network are poor or costly. These uncertainties require fluid community-based models that are survive external shocks and can serve pure policy shocks. In the absence of resolving these weaknesses, the lasting effect of the entrepreneurship sport program can be irregular. In this slide, I discuss the short-term recommendations. Mobile-based training applications must be created and made available in the local language in an attempt to fill the gaps that are present in a short time. Collaborations with NAGOs in providing both online and face-to-face monitoring would increase the reach in rural areas. Establishing local enterprise hubs that are Wi-Fi enabled and with the availability of trainers can give the much needed practical support. Pre-loan training must be conducted in business fundamentals and principles, financial management and ethics in any of the funding schemes. In the most disadvantaged or inaccessible region, it is possible to pilot project training various model and funding out solutions. In this slide, I discuss the long-term recommendation. A long-term effective option is to incorporate financial literacy in school at a national level so that they would be exposed at an early age to financial planning and saving. The government must also invest in joint ventures in public-private EdTech platforms where they provide certified particular training to young people and women. Our national training strategy on SAMES should be put in place by the ministries, the private actors, and the development agencies. Continuing sport needs to be monitored using government dashboard, which monitor reach, quality, and long-term impact. Policies should be inclusive and target even the rural and the low income earning youth who are usually left behind. Using these suggestions, there is a way to ensure scalable and future friendly and the desirable economic environment. In this slide, I discuss the conclusion. In this project, the problem of both financial illiteracy and inaccessibility to funding may be signaled out as an important obstacle to entrepreneurial success. Hands-on training that is efficient enough, together with the possibility of staging funds available, is a key to business sustainability. The fact indicate that the programs on entrepreneurship should be location adopted, technology based and reality oriented. There is no way but to find a strategic balance on education, financing and public policy. Ultimately, the message gets loud and clear as to why forward we need to vote on this, and hence urgent action is to be taken as follows. Financially educated entrepreneurs are the heart of sound economy. Hence tomorrow our economy is strong and self reliant when invest in them now in terms of access and education. The next slide is references. Thank you so much for your kind attention.